With your CG projects, too many choices can be a bad thing. That's why in this video, I'll show you how by just using a simple cubic shape in Blender, you can create 3D scenes more ambitiously, more quickly, while having more fun than you may have thought. Let's check out an animation I was able to make by applying this limitation. My name is Alan Poyens, and I love creating stories in 3D, but I'm usually way too ambitious with my ideas. And after scripting them, I realized it would just take too long to make. That's why I was quite excited to take our very own Cubic Worlds course for Blender, taught by Zach, because it's focused on creating fun worlds and animations in a shorter time. And after seeing Zach's cubic animations, they helped me realize that you don't always have to create something complex to make something inspiring. By using a simple limitation like using a cube shape for everything, stretching it, adding color, some lighting and animation, you could focus more on what you want to create and less on how complicated it is to make, allowing you to be more ambitious and more polished with your animations. This all helped convince me to go through the course. How did I brainstorm the idea for the animation? First, to discover more about my passion, I sat down and thought about my favorite movies, games, and shows, and asked myself, why did these inspire me? What I discovered is I'm passionate about exploration and mystery, feeling small in a bigger landscape, how getting lost can be fun and not knowing what is around the corner, ancient epic discoveries, and unique vehicles while traveling with great companions. With that in mind, I brainstormed several ideas, and I picked the one I felt the most motivation for. And after some work, I finally landed on the following quick story. An ancient civilization in the East created special orbs that when worn had the power to extend life. What they didn't realize is that when they wear the orbs, their minds slowly became blank, because they were incapable of remembering such a long life. For example, the giant guardian dog has completely forgotten his former masters and his purpose. So he only sits there waiting and attacking anything that catches his attention. Inside the temple are the undying elders that have forgotten who they were and their purpose. So they sit inside rereading the same books and stories only to forget them and spend their eternity rereading everything. Although for some stories, I wish I could forget them and rediscover them for the first time. In fact, I wonder which ones you would. Let me know in the comments. So, for the animation, we are thousands of years in the future, and no one dares approach the Guardian. Tourists are discouraged from even getting close. The only person who does is a young delivery woman that crosses the canyon to save time and deliver packages to travelers across the other side. With her job, she supports herself and funds her passion for composing music. It's fun how by adding a bit of story and intrigue, even if I didn't go out and model everything in my story, it adds more interest and meaning to it for me, making it more fun to work on and helping me finish my project. How did the Cubic Worlds course help? With the course, I was very glad to know that all the knowledge was there for me to succeed with my project. Since Zach had already made several animations, he had mastered the style and teaches in honestly a very accessible and fun way. I hadn't used Blender or 3D software much for some years, but with the Cubic Worlds course as a refresher and some practice, it was quite fun to jump back into creating. Specifically for the animation, blocking my scenes first, in this case literally blocking them, was very helpful. This made moving from more simple scenes and animations to more complex ones quite easy. That way, if I needed to make changes, I could quickly do so by only moving simple objects around and adjusting any animations. And when it all felt pretty good, I would then commit to making the full characters and assets. Once I got to a point where the animation felt pretty good, I sent the work in progress to the CG Boost team, to my friends and my family, and asked for feedback. Which always reminds me, you can never underestimate how helpful it is to ask for feedback early. Because after spending hours on a scene, it's very hard to stay fresh and objective. So by asking for feedback and giving myself a couple of days of a break, I could then take all of that feedback into account and continue creating with a fresh perspective. For example, my friend Judah helped me realize that the Guardian didn't feel like enough of a threat. So I did more of a bending animation and a bark, showing that he was ready to jump. What are the top lessons learned from making my animation? Having a course to learn from and go back to often was key. Because every time I got stuck on a problem, I could simply relax, go watch some more videos, and I knew these videos were going to help me get the result I wanted. Even with simple limitations, always try and scale back your ambitions. Get to the core of your idea and simplify everything as much as possible. Things will always take longer and be more complicated than you expect. Thanks to the Cubic World's limitations and the course, it felt great to finish an animation project feeling actually energized and excited for the next one, instead of drained and tired because I was too ambitious and I spent so long figuring everything out that I didn't have time to polish and play around with my scene. I actually quite look forward to the next one. Another great source of inspiration for me was watching the results of our Cubic World students and the many ways they were creative. In fact, I want you to sit back, relax, and watch a compilation of only some of the amazing animations our students have made. And after that, if you want to check out the course or our other courses, feel free to click on the link in the video description. Enjoy. Before you leave and continue on your own creative journey, I want to ask something from you. If you post in the comments, please add a little rocket icon so we know that you watched until this point in the video. And shout out to Curtis Holt, who does something similar in his own videos. And second, I want you to list, like I did, what are you most passionate about when creating? So I want you to think on those and how by adding simple limitations, you could make those passions a reality.